Right after Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail has been stealing the hearts and bank accounts of the fanbase. It's been around since April 26, 2023, and it's up to me to make yet another blank but Pokemon video, now featuring Honkai Star Rail. You already know the rules by now if you watch my previous blank but Pokemon videos, but for those who don't know, these are the rules. 6 Pokemon per character, no legendaries, mythicals, or Ultra Beasts allowed, and only 1 starter if necessary. And yes, I know rules are meant to be broken, but at least for this video, let's just stick to it. This video will tackle versions 1.0 to 2.1, so anything further than that, like 2.2, will not be featured here. But before we get into the video, I would like to thank Huohuo for having a 1-year anniversary with Honkai Star Rail. Let's hope our pulls and the story get even better. And without any further ado, let's get into Honkai Star Rail, but Pokemon. First is Acheron. Acheron's team is Zoroark, Vileplume, Annihilate, Dusknoir, Ceruledge, and Hisuian Zoroark. The newest character that was just released is up first, and it's Acheron. Zoroark because of its savage performance in Pokemon Unite, Vileplume because of her Parasol, Annihilate to commemorate the annihilation of the Annihilation Gang, Dusknoir because of its pre-evolution Dusclops being a black hole fitting for an emanator of nihility, Ceruledge because they have the same look, and Hisuian Zoroark fitting her crimson form colors and the unbelievable power that also hurts her. Next is Argenti. Argenti's team is Sirfetch'd, Roserade, Lopunny, Gardevoir, Milotic, and Meowscarada. This team is primarily centered on the idea of beauty. Since Argenti is all about beauty, I gave him a team filled to the brim with Pokemon known for their beauty and appearance. But Sirfetch'd is the exception here because of Argenti being a knight of beauty. Next is Arlan. Arlan's team is Arcanine, Mabostiff, Aggron, Aerodactyl, Toxtricity, and Electivire. Arcanine and Mabostiff because of Arlan's relationship with Peppy, Aggron and Aerodactyl for knowing lots of moves that hurt the user while attacking, like Arlan's playstyle, and Toxtricity and Electivire for Arlan's lightning element. Next is Asta. Asta's team is Starmie, Reuniclus, Persian, Goldengo, Arcanine, and Delphox. Starmie because of her theme with the stars, Reuniclus because of her role as the lead researcher of the Herta space station, Persian and Goldengo because of her luxurious background, Arcanine because of Peppy, and Delphox because of her element and overall playstyle. Next is Bailu. Bailu's team is Blissey, Clefable, Indeedee, Lantern, Raging Bolt, and Kingdra. This team is separated into halves. Blissey, Clefable, and Indeedee are Pokemon used by Nurse Joy, and Bailu is a healer in the game. Lantern, Raging Bolt, and Kingdra for her playstyle and appearance in the game, with Lantern having a pretty similar personality as Bailu, Raging Bolt being an electric dragon type referencing the Vidyadhara and her electric element, and Kingdra with the Vidyadhara and her usage of water in her playstyle. Up next is Black Swan. Black Swan's team is Swanna, Musharna, Mismagius, Bail Oricorio, Espeon, and Gardevoir. Swanna because, well, Swan. Musharna because of its usage of dreams to show Black Swan only being seen in the dreamscape since she's a mimetic entity. Mismagius for aesthetics, Bail Oricorio for, you know, the dance, with Acheron, and Espeon and Gardevoir for their aesthetics with Black Swan. And I kinda see Black Swan having an Espeon just laying around. Next is Blade. Blade's team is Cradily, Aegislash, Crawdaunt, Midnight Lycanroc, Ceruledge, and Hisuian Zoroark. Cradily because it's the closest thing we have to a Pokemon that looks like the spider lilies in his artwork, Aegislash because it's a blade with a human soul trapped in it, Crawdaunt because of its Pokédex entry showing that it has scars from previous battles, Midnight Lycanroc because of its nature to battle without any care for its body, like Blade, Ceruledge because it cuts their opponents with no mercy, like Blade, and Hisuian Zoroark because of its Pokédex entry, stating, "It looks like an embodiment of death." Heedless of its own safety, Zoroark attacks its nemesis with a bitter energy so intense it lacerates Zoroark's own body. You know, like Blade. Up next is Bronya. Bronya's team is Sirfetch'd, Corviknight, Gardevoir, Meowstic, Phalanx, and Inteleon. Sirfetch'd and Corviknight because of Bronya's association with the Silvermane Guards, Gardevoir and Meowstic because of her elegant aesthetic, Phalanx because of its no-retreat signature move animation, looking pretty similar to Bronya's ultimate animation, and Inteleon because of the gun. Next is Clara. Clara's team is Clink Clang, Revavroom, Magnezone, Probopass, Iron Jugulis, and Metagross. Clara's team is very simple. Given that we see her surrounded by robots in the robot settlement, I gave Clara a full team of robot or machine-based Pokemon, with Metagross being the stand-in for Svarog since it's a supercomputer and arguably the most powerful pseudo-legendary Pokemon, potentially of all time. Next is Dan Heng. Dan Heng's team is Yanmega, Iron Valiant, Saucebuck, Shiftry, Xatu, and Salamence. Yanmega because of Dan Heng's color scheme, Iron Valiant because of Dan Heng's polearm weapon, Saucebuck and Shiftry because of Dan Heng's splash art, Xatu seeing visions, and because of Dan Heng's ultimate voice line,
"This sanctuary is but a vision!"
and Salamence because of his wind element and being part of the Videodora. Up next is Imbibitor Lunae Dan Heng. Imbibitor Lunae Dan Heng's team is Gyarados, Milotic, Umbreon, Altaria, Kingdra, and Dracopult. Gyarados and Milotic because of the Water Serpent alongside Dan Heng, Umbreon because of the prevalence of the moon in his artwork and animations, Altaria and Kingdra because the Imbibitor Lunae controls the clouds and both being dragons, like the Videodora. And Dracopult because it's both a dragon and a special attacker, like Imbibitor Lunae Dan Heng using special attacks, but not physical attacks. Up next is Dr. Ratio. Dr. Ratio's team is Alakazam, Conkeldurr, Forretress, Chandelure, Noctowl, and Serperior. Alakazam because of Ratio's intellect, Conkeldurr because of Ratio's ultimate where he drops a pillar on someone, Forretress because of his alabaster head he puts on, Chandelure because he got the phase flame at the end of the 1.6 questline, Noctowl because of his shoulder armor, and Serperior because of his arrogant and superiority attitude. Next is Xuan. Xuan's team is Xatu, Gothitelle, Umbreon, Espeon, Gastrodon, and Gengar. Xatu and Gothitelle for Xuan's ability, and Burden for seeing the future, Umbreon and Espeon because of her talent, and Gastrodon and Gengar because of her third eye in their designs, with Gengar getting that third eye when it Mega Evolves. Next is Gepard. Gepard's team is Sirfetch'd, Corviknight, Hisuian Avalugg, Cryogonal, Bastiodon, and Setitan. Sirfetch'd and Corviknight because of the Silvermane Guards, Hisuian Avalugg and Cryogonal for being the two Ice-type Pokemon with the highest defense and special defense stat respectively, Bastiodon for being the most well-rounded defensive Pokemon that isn't a legendary, and Setitan because of its high HP stat and Ice typing. The latter four is meant to reference Gepard's role in the game as a tank as well as his Ice element. Up next is Gallagher. Gallagher's team is Arcanine, Hitmonlee, Zangoose, Berserker, Tentacruel, and Gorging Fire. Arcanine because Gallagher is part of the Bloodhound family, Hitmonlee for his basic attack, Zangoose and Berserker because of his ultimate, Tentacruel because it reflects Mythos, the Eon of the Path of Enigmata, and Gorging Fire to wrap up everything that Gallagher is about. Next is Guinaifen. Guinaifen's team is Pyroar, Gengar, Aegislash, Turtonator, Electrode, and Typhlosion. Pyroar because of the Dittings in her ultimate animation, Gengar because of her time with the Foxian Tail of the Haunted event, Aegislash because of her skill in sword swallowing, and Turtonator, Electrode, and Typhlosion because of the massive explosion caused by her ultimate. Next is Hanya. Hanya's team is Mr. Mime, Musharna, Cofagrigus, Smeargle, Hisuian Avalugg, and Dusknoir. Mr. Mime because of its interrogation scene in the Detective Pikachu movie to reference Hanya being the expert in interrogation as a judge. Musharna because she uses dreams to predict the offenses of the Marastruck. Cofagrigus because she uses the Ten Lords Commission coffin to read the minds of the Marastruck. Smeargle because of her Oracle Brush. Hisuian Avalugg because Noble Hisuian Avalugg bears a similar look to Hanya's ultimate animation for being a giant wall. And Dusknoir because she has access to the underworld with her skill kinda like Dusknoir, who is the Grim Reaper of the Pokemon world. Up next is Herta. Herta's team is Behem, Porygon Z, Banette, Alakazam, Carbink, and Tinkaton. Behem because it refers to Herta's space station, Porygon Z because of Herta's simulated universe, Banet because it's a puppet and it references Herta's splash art and the numerous puppets surrounding the Herta space station, Alakazam because Herta is a member of the Genius Society, Carbink since it kinda has similarities with Herta's ultimate, and Tinkaton because of Herta's use of an absurdly large hammer in battle. Next is Himeko. Himeko's team is Rotom, Magnezone, Klinklang, Doxbun, Iron Moth, and Magmortar. Rotom because of Himeko's drone, since there's a Rotom drone in the anime, Magnezone and Klinklang because she's the main mechanic and engineer of the Astral Express, Doxbun because since it's based on various baked goods, it will work alongside Himeko's fondness for coffee, and Iron Moth and Magmortar because if you combine the two, you get Himeko's ultimate. Next is Hook. Hook's team is Dugtrio, Clawitzer, Excadrill, Ursaluna, Hisuian Arcanine, and Emboar. Dugtrio since it's gonna be the staple Pokemon for the moles, Clawitzer because it has a bigger claw like Hook's massive Diggertron, Excadrill because Hook digs during her skill animation, Ursaluna because of her teddy bear Junjun, and Hisuian Arcanine and Emboar because of Hook's fire element and high damage output. Next is Huohuo. Huohuo's team is Thievul, Ninetales, Zoroark, Gengar, Mimikyu, and Delphox. Huohuo's team is all about her Foxian nature and her fear of ghosts, with Thievul, Ninetales, and Zoroark being the Foxian side, Gengar and Mimikyu for the ghost side, and Delphox to wrap it all together. Next is Jingliu. Jingliu's team is Parasect, Umbreon, Frostlass, Weavile, Baxcalibur, and Hisuian Samurott. Parasect because it's the closest thing to a Mara-struck Pokemon, Umbreon due to the moon being prevalent in Jingliu's aesthetic, Frostlass, Weavile, and Baxcalibur because of Jingliu's playstyle, with her being swift, powerful, and centered on freezing anyone in her path, and Hisuian Samurott for its use of a blade and its hyper-aggressive nature like Jingliu compared to her past. Up next is Jing Yuan. Jing Yuan's team is Pyroar, Persian, Nidoking, Iron Thorns, Hisuian Samurott, and Ampharos. Pyro because of Snow Moon, Jing Yuan's pet lion, Persian since Jing Yuan roughly translates to scenery of money, so I gave him a Pokemon that has payday, which makes coins scatter everywhere. Nidoking because Jing Yuan is a bruiser-like playstyle, Iron Thorn since it roughly references the Lightning Lord while not being a legendary, Hisuian Samurott since its signature move, Ceaseless Edge, has the same animation as Jing Yuan's skill, and Ampharos because of its Mega Evolution being quite similar to Jing Yuan, specifically the hair. Next is Kafka. Kafka's team is Galvantula, Roserade, Malamar, Salazzle, Houndoom, and Zoroark. Galvantula because of Kafka's spider theme and having a web of people to control, Roserade due to the rose petals in Kafka's trailer, Malamar and Salazzle due to Kafka's Spirit Whisper ability, Houndoom due to her past as a devil hunter, and Zoroark because it protects its pack by using illusions or playing tricks with their opponent's mind, similar to Kafka with the Stellaron hunters. Next is Luka. Luka's team is Hitmonchan, Clawitzer, Dugtrio, Hawlucha, Scrafty, and Kamo-O. Hitmonchan because of Luka's life as a boxer in the underground, Clawitzer due to his enhanced metal arm, Dugtrio because Luka is a member of the Moles, and Hawlucha, Scrafty, and Kamo-O because of his time in the Fight Club, as well as these Pokemon having a similar fighting style as Luka. Up next is Luocha. Luocha's team is Comfey, Aegislash, Sirfetch'd, Spiritomb, Cofagrigus, and Florges. Comfey because of Luocha claiming to be a merchant, and Comfey having a merchant attire in Pokemon Unite. Aegislash and Sirfetch'd because of Luocha's main weapon being a rapier. Spiritomb because of the wisps in his ultimate, similar to the Wisp mission in Legends Arceus, where you can get a Spiritomb. Cofagrigus because of the coffin he keeps around, and Florges because of its lifespan going for hundreds of years, in reference to the theory of Luocha being a main villain going after immortality in the abundance. Unfortunately, this is the best team I can think of for Luocha since there's very few that we know about him. Next is Lynx. Lynx's team is Stoutland, Centiskorch, Floatzel, Shiftry, Alolan Ninetales, and Luxray. Lynx's team is centered on the idea of camping in the snow, which would be one of her favorite activities. Stoutland for recon and a warm coat, Centiskorch for campfires, Floatzel for fishing, and Shiftry for warmth and firewood gathering. Alolan Ninetales and Luxray are more interesting here because Alolan Ninetales fits Lynx's aesthetic, and Luxray is based off a real-life Lynx. Up next is March 7th. March's team is Alolan Ninetales, Avalugg, Beware, Hatterene, Sylveon, and Meganium. Alolan Ninetales and Avalugg because of March's Ice Element, as well as both of them having huge defensive stats. Beware because of March's teddy bear in her quarters, Hatterene and Sylveon because March has the same color palette as them, and Meganium for its prominence in the new Pokemon Snap and March's love for taking pictures. Next up is Misha. Misha's team is Brojong, Glaceon, Arctovish, Iron Treads, Iron Moth, and Iron Bundle. Brojong because he's a bellboy, Glaceon and Arctovish because of his Ice Element, and Iron Treads, Iron Moth, and Iron Bundle because he is skilled at fixing a variety of machines. Next is Natasha. Natasha's team is Octillery, Blissey, Wigglytuff, Rapidash, Scizor, and Meganium. 5 out of 6 members of Natasha's team, aka Blissey, Wigglytuff, Rapidash, Scizor, and Meganium are there because they are all Pokemon that Nurse Joy had or would eventually evolve into in the anime. So I figured that the main healthcare worker in the underground would have these Pokemon since their roles are quite similar. And also Octillery because of her weapon, the grenade launcher. Up next is Pela. Pela's team is Sirfetch'd, Frostlass, Swellow, Seaking, Nidoking, and Alakazam. Sirfetch'd because of her association with the Silvermane Guards, Frostlass because of her Ice Element, Swellow due to having the same color palette as a certain attorney, which references Artem Wing, Seaking because it's the ace Pokemon of the PI trainer class, which references Luke Pierce, Nidoking because it references Martis von Hagen, and Alakazam which references von Richter. For those who don't know, the latter 4 Pokemon are based on the main 4 characters in Tears of Themis, which is a game Pela's phone case is based on. Next is Chincha. Chincha's team is Arbok, Claydol, Azumarill, Magnezone, Ludicolo, and Raichu. Considering that Chincha loves Celestial Jade, and Celestial Jade is based on Mahjong, and Mahjong is a popular form of gambling in Chinese culture, I decided to give Chincha a Pokemon team filled with Pokemon in the classic slot machines, all of which reach their final evolutions here. Up next is Ruan Mei. Ruan Mei's team is Alakazam, Alcremie, Cherrim, Heracross, Yanmega, and Scizor. Alakazam because Ruan Mei is a genius and part of the Genius Society, Alcremie for the desert she drugged us with, and the numerous experiments that created the critters. Cherrim because Mei means plum blossom, so I gave her a cherry blossom Pokemon. Not really the same, but that's the best we got. And Heracross, Yanmega, and Scizor because of the swarm that she used in her experiments, with Scizor getting the Mega Evolution treatment for this one because of its Mega's Pokédex slot saying it stores the excess energy from Mega Evolution, so after a long time passes, its body starts to melt, which sounds right up Ruan Mei's alley. Next is Sampo. Sampo's team is Coughing, Electrode, Alolan Persian, Berserker, Squawkabilly, and Grimmsnarl. Coughing and Electrode because of his usage of bombs and smoke bombs in his ultimate, Alolan Persian and Berserker due to their natural learning of Payday, Squawkabilly since they have the most sway out of all the Pokemon, particularly the green Squawkabillies, and Grimmsnarl due to its signature move, False Surrender, which Sampo uses repeatedly throughout our adventures with him. Up next is Seela. Seela's team is Butterfree, Meowstic, Kabutops, Haxorus, Iron Valiant, and Garchomp. Butterfree because of her codename Babochka, which translates to butterfly in Russian. Meowstic because of its elegant aesthetic and also being a Pokemon also used by Bronya. Kabutops, Haxorus, and Iron Valiant because they all bear a semblance to Seela's Scythe. And Garchomp because its Mega Evolution also resembles her Scythe. Next is Serval. Serval's team is Exploud, Manectric, Magnezone, Klinklang, Meowstic, and Gardevoir. Exploud and Manectric because it's one of the more powerful Pokemon in the Guitarist trainer class, referencing Serval as a guitarist. Magnezone and Klinklang because of her work as a mechanic in the Neverwinter workshop. And Meowstic and Gardevoir because of her past as a researcher of the Architects. Up next is Silverwolf. Silverwolf's team is Mightyena, Wailord, Porygon Z, Machamp, Ceruledge, and Metagross. Mightyena because I just had to include a Silverwolf Pokemon in Silverwolf's team. Wailord due to Silverwolf's pulling ritual, where you have to look at the whale on top of the Astral Express. Porygon Z because it's the closest thing we have to a digital Pokemon, Machamp because of the infamous hacked Pokemon site, Ceruledge because of Silverworld's aesthetic and playstyle, and Metagross because it's a supercomputer fitting for a genius hacker. Up next is Sparkle. Sparkle's team is Ditto, Liepard, Thievul, Tatsugiri, Grimmsnarl, and Delphox. Ditto since Sparkle is a shapeshifter, Liepard since she lies a lot, Thievul because of her fox masks, Tatsugiri since it's partially a koi fish, which is all over her artworks, Grimmsnarl for her pranking nature, and Delphox for foxes once again, but leaving a fiery trail like Sparkle, spreading chaos just because she can. Next is Sushang. Sushang's team is Corviknight, Altaria, Escavalier, Aegislash, Pidgeot, and Blaziken. Corviknight, Altaria, Escavalier, and Aegislash are there because of her association with the Cloud Knights, and wanting to be one of the best. Pidgeot due to a similar color palette, and Blaziken because of Sushang's ultimate, with Phoenix, the big chicken. Next is Tingyun. Tingyun's team is Lunatone, Altaria, Thievul, Alolan Ninetales, Jolteon, and Venusaur. Lunatone and Altaria are there because of Tingyun's appearance in the Light Cone Carve the Moon, Weave the Clouds. Thievul and Alolan Ninetales for her Foxian culture, Jolteon for her electric element, and Venusaur because its Gigantamax form reminds me of the eventual Fatilia fight in the story. Next is Topaz. Topaz's team is Oinkologne, Persian, Goldengo, Porygon Z, Kingdra, and Dragonite. Oinkologne because of Noombi, Persian and Goldengo because Topaz is super rich, and Porygon Z, Kingdra, and Dragonite for being the most expensive Pokemon you can buy in the Celadon Game Corner in Generation 1. Next is Welt. Welt's team is Whimsicott, Raichu, Gengar, Dusknoir, Gardevoir, and Mr. Rime. Whimsicott because of Welt's friend from the Sugars, Raichu because it's the fully evolved form of Pikachu, the cover star of Pokemon and its anime, similar to Welt being in both Honkai Impact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail, which kind of made him the mascot of Honkai. Gengar, Dusknoir, and Gardevoir for their abilities to create black holes, similar to Welt in his moveset. Next is Shuyi. Shuyi's team is Ceruledge, Gallade, Iron Valiant, Banette, Cofagrigus, and Hisuian Braviary. Ceruledge, Gallade, and Iron Valiant because of Shuyi's battle animations having a similar fighting style. Banette because she uses a puppet body, Cofagrigus because she sleeps in her coffin if she runs out of her wake span, and Hisuian Braviary because of her alias, Shuyi, is a type of white-feathered bird. Next is Yanqing. Yanqing's team is Lucario, Escavalier, Aegislash, Marowak, Gallade, and Samurott. This team actually has a theme, because every single Pokemon in Yanqing's team can naturally learn Swords Dance, something that Yanqing really likes to do or is prominent in his playstyle. Not only that, but all of these Pokemon are skilled with their weapon or is featured as a protector. Next is Yukong. Yukong's team is Altaria, Corviknight, Ninetales, Mantine, Dracopult, and Hisuian Decidueye. Altaria and Corviknight for her time with the Cloud Knights, Ninetales for her Foxian nature, Mantine for her kite, Dracopult for her past as a pilot, and Hisuian Decidueye for her attack animations being similar to Hisuian Decidueye in Pokemon Legends Arceus. And that is Honkai Star Rail but Pokemon. Thank you guys for watching, and please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel with post notifications on. Happy anniversary to everyone, and I hope that your pulls will be successful, and I hope that you successfully conquer the 50-50 with the help of the Gacha Gods. Thank you to BirdBord for the support. Now what is the next video going to be? Well, the next video is going to happen very soon, and it's going to feature 10 Genshin Impact meetups that I want to see. Hope to see you there. And as always, I'm HermitGRAB, and I'll see you soon.